Hello student, today we are going to see our novel section in it 4.2 to serve with love. In first two videos we saw about writer's introduction, summary of the novel, then theme of the novel and synopsis of the extract. Now today we see the novel. Now actual to serve with love, it is a very long novel, so here one chapter is taken, that is the chapter number 17 is taken for our so chapter number 17 is taken in our syllabus. Now we see chapter number 17, to serve with love. The half yearly report of the students council was on November 15. Yes, so half yearly report of the students program was on November 15 and was one of the important days in the calendar of Green Slate School. Yes, and that was means half yearly report of the students council. That program was one of the very important days in the स्कूल कॅलेंडर ऑफ ग्रीन स्लेट स्कूल. ते ग्रीन स्लेट नावाची जी ईस्ट एंड मध्ये जी स्कूल होती लंडनच्या, त्या शाळेमध्ये हाफ इयरली रिपोर्ट ऑफ द स्टुडंट काउन्सिलचा जो कार्यक्रम असायचा तो खूपच महत्त्वाचा कार्यक्रम असायचा आणि तो 15 नोव्हेंबरला असायचा. I had heard quite a deal about these occasions and became excited as the children as the day approached. And so writer was so much excited about that day as the other students, and writer was waiting for that day because writer was new in that school. I was entirely their day arranged, presented and controlled by them. Yes, I had heard about a deal about these occasions and become excited as the children as the day approached. It was entirely their day. Yes, that half yearly report of the students council day was totally day of students. They arranged the program, presented and control over the program. Means the students had done each and every activity in that half yearly report of the students council program. I observed the activities of my class as they prepared for it, noting with pride the business-like way in which tasks were allocated and fitted into a neat program. So the writer observed the activities of his class, how they were prepared for that program. They allocated the activities to each and each students by making their groups, and so writer was so much interested in that program. आणि रायटर सुद्धा आपल्या वर्गाची जी ऍक्टिव्हिटीज होत्या त्या ऍक्टिव्हिटीज कडे ऑब्झर्व करत होत्या. ते मुलांनी वेगवेगळे ग्रुप बनवून वेगवेगळ्या मुलांकडे वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे कामं दिले होते. There were whispered conference with members of other classes in the arrangement of it. On that day there was no assembly. Yes, on that the half yearly report of the students day means on the 15th November there was no assembly. The children arrived smartly dressed and polished, and Miss Joseph and Denham, who seemed to be the important officials for the occasions, move about among their colleagues, ensuring that each one was ready to play his or her part. Yes, so on that day there was no assembly, and so all the students were arrived smartly dressed and polished. Miss Joseph and Denham, these were the two students who seemed to be an important officials. That day both of them were the important persons or the important officials for the occasion. कारण की ते मिस जोसेफ आणि डेनम जे होते हे त्या दिवशी प्रिसाइडिंग करणार होते, स्टेजवर बसणार होते. त्याच्यामुळे they were also came very polish and good dress. occasions move about among their colleagues, ensuring that each one was ready to play his her part, and all the students were ensuring one another की yes they are ready to play their parts. आणि सगळेच्या सगळे विद्यार्थी मित्र सगळे एकमेकाला सांगत होते वर्गमित्र की नाही they are ready to play their parts. A bell was rung at 10 a.m. and everyone trooped into the auditorium to sit together in class. At exactly 10 a.m. bell was rang and all the students making groups entered into the auditorium. ऑडिटोरियम म्हणजे सभागृह, जे शाळेचं सभागृह होतं त्या शाळेच्या सभागृहामध्ये सगळेच्या सगळे विद्यार्थी 10 वाजता ग्रुपने काय जमा होऊन यायला लागले. Miss Joseph and Denham, the two most senior students, sat on the stage. Just now I told you, yes, Miss Joseph and Denham were the important officers for that day, and so both of them were the senior students and sat on the stage. आणि हे दोघेही स्टेजवर बसले. कोण? Miss Joseph and Denham. One on each side of Mr. Florin, who as soon as everyone was seated and silent stood and addressed the school. Yes, now Denham and Joseph sat on the stage. On one side of their Mr. Florin, the headmaster of school, who was the headmaster of school, Mr. Florin एका बाजूने बसले, who as soon as everyone was seated and silent stood and addressed the school. He spoke of yes. Then Mr. Florin, the headmaster of school, started his address to the students. He spoke at length, reiterating the aims and policy of the school and of the important contribution. Mr. Florence spoke at length. ते length म्हणजे ते थोडेसे लांब बोलले. And yes, and they reiterating म्हणजे पुन्हा पुन्हा ठासून सांगणे, आणखी एकच गोष्ट वारंवार सांगणे. They are reiterating the aims and policy of the school. Means headmaster Florin spoke about the aims and policy of the school and of the important contribution each child could make to the furtherance of those aims. Means he reiterating the aims and policy of school and also the roles of the students for furtherance of those aims. He gave praise wherever it was indicated, but instead that there was yet a great deal of be done by themselves towards a general improvement and the pursuit of the knowledge. As I listened, I realized that this man was in no way remote from the school. Yes, so he also spoke on the general improvement in conduct of students, cleanliness and pursuit of the knowledge. ते आणखी मुलांनी काय स्वतःमध्ये इम्प्रूव्हमेंट केलं पाहिजे, ते कसे नेहमी स्वच्छ राहिले पाहिजे आणि त्यांनी नॉलेज मिळवण्याचा जास्तीत जास्त नॉलेज मिळवण्याचा कसा प्रयत्न केला पाहिजे या विषयावर फ्लोरेन्स बोलले. As I listened, I realized that this man was in no way remote from the school. His years, and when writer listened his address, that time writer felt that yes, this man is totally devoted for the school. लेखकाला असं वाटलं की हे जे HM होते, हेडमास्टर होते, हे काय मुलांसाठी काय शाळेसाठी काय टोटली काय डिवोटेड आहे की यस धिस मॅन वॉज नो वे रिमोट फ्रॉम दिस स्कूल. म्हणजे हा माणूस शाळेपासून दूर जास्त वेळ काही दूर राहू शकत नाही. हिज रिमार्क्स ऑल शोड दॅट ही आयडेंटिफाय हिमसेल्फ विथ इट and everyone in it. He yes, writer felt that yes, that person is identify himself with it means school and everyone in it. He then wished them success with the council meeting and left the stage to tremendous applause means taya. And then he gave the at last of his address, he gave the wishes to that day's council meeting and then left the stage. And while he was leaving the stage, yes, there was a great applause for him. त्याच्यासाठी जेव्हा स्टेज होतं आणि खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणामध्ये टाळ्या वाजवल्या गेल्या कोणासाठी, हेडमास्टरसाठी. थिंग्स नाव मूव क्विकली इनटू गिअर. फर्स्ट मिस जोसेफ स्टूड अप. नाव आफ्टर द HM's address, yes, that council meeting was started and quickly came, moving to a gear. First Miss Joseph stood up and gave a short explanation of the council purpose and its activities. Yes, now the Miss Joseph first stood up and gave a short explanation of the council's purpose and its activities. Miss Joseph नी सगळ्यात पहिले ती काउन्सिल घेण्यामागचा उद्देश आणि त्या काउन्सिलमध्ये कोणत्या कोणत्या ऍक्टिव्हिटीज घेतल्या जाणार आहे याविषयीचे एक्सप्लेनेशन केलं. Each class would report through its representative. Yes, how was that council? ती काउन्सिल कशी होती? In that council, each class would report through its representative. म्हणजे त्या काउन्सिलमध्ये each the progress of each class give the reports through their, each class would report through its representative. म्हणजे प्रत्येक क्लास त्यांच्या रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्हच्या माध्यमातून काय त्यांच्या वर्गाची काय रिपोर्ट्स देणार होते ऑन द स्टडीज. आणि दे, यस, these representative give the reports on the studies pursued during the half year which began after the Easter. A representative having been chosen for each subject. आणि त्यामुळे काय, यस, representative for each subject is chosen and that representative give the report about their studies pursued after the in that half year. Okay, and that half year was started after the festival of Easter. When all the classes had completed their reports, a panel of teachers would be invited to occupy the stage and answer the questions from the body of the hall on matters arising out of the various reports. म्हणजे how was that council? Yes, at first all the representative of each class gave the reports of each subject, and after completing that, yes, a panel of teachers would be invited. नंतर एक टीचरचं पॅनल बनवलं होतं, that would be invited to occupy the stage. त्यांना स्टेजवर बोलवलं जाणार होतं कोणाला, त्या पॅनलला, शिक्षकाच्या. and answer the questions from the body of, yes, and answer the questions from the body of the hall on matters arising out of the various reports. आणि मुलांनी जे आपल्या आपल्या वर्गाचे रिपोर्ट्स, वेगवेगळ्या विषयाचे रिपोर्ट्स देत आणि जे काही प्रश्न निर्माण झाले होते त्या प्रश्नाची सगळ्या उत्तर द्यायचं काम कोणाकडे होतं? अ पॅनल ऑफ टीचर्स कडे होतं, जे आफ्टर कम्प्लिटिंग देअर रिप्रेझेंटेशन विल इन्व्हाइट ऑन द स्टेज. The selection of the panel, as with everything else, was entirely at the discretion of the children, and no members of the staff knew either how many or which teachers would be invited to sit. Yes, and also the selection of teachers panel is also done by the children or the students, was entirely at the discretion of the children, and no members of the staff knew either how many or which teachers would be invited to sit. आणि त्याच्यामुळे कोणत्या शिक्षकाला त्या पॅनलमध्ये निवडलेला आहे का निवडलेला हे कोणत्याही स्टाफ मेंबरला, शिक्षकाला माहित नव्हतं. आणि यस, इट वॉज डन बाय द चिल्ड्रेन देमसेल्स अकॉर्डिंग टू देअर नॉलेज. The reports began with the lowest or the youngest class first, and in this way that student council was started, and the first reports began with the lowest or youngest class first. म्हणजे सगळ्यात पहिले रिपोर्ट्स देण्याचं, प्रेझेंटेशन देण्यासाठी लोवेस्ट क्लास किंवा जे सगळ्यात यंगेस्ट क्लास होते त्यांना चान्स दिला गेला. There were mainly 12 years old, yes, who had joined the school the previous summer. Now these youngest students in that school were the 12-year students, and they were just joined in the last summer. त्या उन्हाळ्यामध्येच ते शाळेमध्ये त्यांचं नाव दाखल केलेलं मुलं होते. मोस्ट ऑफ देम वर शाय अँड रॅदर फ्रायटेन ॲट द स्टँडिंग अप बिफोर द एंटायर स्कूल. आणि ते अँड मोस्ट ऑफ दी बिकॉज these students were the new students and their age near about only 12 years old, and due to that they were shy, and rather frightened at the standing up before the entire school. Yes, आणि त्यातल्या त्यात काय त्या पूर्णच्या पूर्ण शाळेच्या समोर स्टेजवर येऊन प्रेझेंटेशन देणं आणि त्याच्यामुळे ते थोडेसे काय घाबरलेले सुद्धा असायचे. बट नेव्हरलेस दे मॅनेज इट क्रेडिबली. मात्र त्यांनी त्या सगळ्या त्या नवीन स्टुडंट जरी असेल थोडेसे शाय होते, मात्र दे वेअर मॅनेज टू गिव्ह द प्रेझेंटेशन बिफोर students on the stage. They had been newly introduced to the difficulties of the seeking information for themselves, so their reports were understandably rather short. Yes, and these students' reports are short because they are the new students, and due to that their difficulties of seeking information for themselves, and so their presentation was quite shorter than the others. Class after class was represented, and it was obvious that with each succeeding term there was a marked development in their ability to express themselves. And in this way class after class was represented. एका मागून एक क्लास येत गेलं and they were giving their representation. As the class level is increasing, their ability to express themselves also increasing. आणि जसे जसे वरचे क्लास यायला लागले त्यांची एक्सप्रेस करण्याची बोलण्याची जी ॲबिलिटी ती सुद्धा काय इन्क्रीज होत गेली. मच ऑफ द वर्क वॉज रॅदर एलिमेंटरी, but to them it loomed large because they understand it and something of its relationship to themselves. Actually all the students were speaking on the elementary. यस, म्हणजे प्राथमिक स्तरावर जे काही प्राथमिक लेवलवर जे बेस लेवलवर जे काही ज्या गोष्टी होत्या त्याच्याविषयीच बोलले. बट टू देम इट लूम लार्ज बिकॉज दे अंडरस्टँड इट अँड समथिंग ऑफ इट्स रिलेशन टू देमसेल्स. बट दे आर अंडरस्टँडिंग ऑल द मॅटर्स अँड अकॉर्डिंग टू दॅट दे गिव्ह द रिप्रेझेंटेशन. सो देअर रिप्रेझेंटेशन वॉज डिफरंट फ्रॉम ईच अँड एव्हरी स्टुडंट. Throughout all the reports, the emphasis was on what they understood rather than on what they were expected to learn. Yes, and throughout the report, when we are seeing the all the reports, throughout all the reports, and जवळपास सगळ्या रिपोर्ट्स मध्ये एकच असा ऑप्शन असायचं, the emphasis was on that they understood rather than yes what they understood. म्हणजे almost all the representative spoke about what they had understood. त्यांना का समजलं. Yes, rather than on what they understood rather than what they were expected to learn. म्हणजे त्यांच्या रिपोर्ट्स मध्ये त्यांच्या प्रेझेंटेशन मध्ये what they had understood, they are speaking about what they are understood rather than what they were expected to learn. म्हणजे आपण का शिकायला पाहिजे होतं त्यापेक्षा ते का शिकले या विषयावर जास्तीत जास्त स्टुडंटचे रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह बोलत होते. When the turn of my class came, I sat up energetically. Yes, and at last, writer was the class teacher of the senior class, and so near about at last, writer's class turn came. I sat up energetically, and जेव्हा रायटरच्या वर्गाचा चान्स आला, yes, writer sat up very energetically. From the list he held in his hand, Denham called out the names of the representative. Then Denham called out the names of the representative of each subject of his class, together with the subject on which they would report. Now Potter give the reports of arithmetic, Sapiano nature study, Miss Peg and Jackson geography, Miss Dere and Fernman physiology, Miss Dodd history, Denham PT and games, Miss Joseph domestic science. हे सगळे विद्यार्थी या वेगवेगळ्या विषयावर प्रेझेंटेशन देणार होते. I felt terribly pleased and proud to see the confident courtesy with which Denham used to term Miss in addressing each of the senior girls. Writer felt terribly pleased and proud to see the confident courtesy with which Denham used. When Denham called the names of representative, that time writer felt very terribly pleased. रायटरला खूप आनंद झाला, त्याला भयानक असा आनंद झाला. By seeing the proud to see the confident cursive with which Denham used to term. Yes, when Denham call up the name, yes, he call each name by joining the term Miss in addressing each of the senior girls. Yes, and that time writer felt very proud, because you know that yes, writer started to call each girl as a miss and each student of his class as a sir, and the same thing done by the Denham, and so writer felt very proud. I felt sure that this would in itself be something for the younger ones to aim at, a sort of bags of the young adulthood. Bags म्हणजे बक्षीस, आणि लेखकाला मेडल means the writerला असं वाटलं की yes, it is the thing which is the younger student must learn from the senior ones. As their names were called, they walked up to the stage and took their seats with commendable gravity. And when the Denham took the names of representative of different subject, okay, all the representative walk up to the stage and took their seats with the commendable gravity. आणि बिलकुल ते ज्या विद्यार्थ्याचं नाव, ज्या रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्हचं नाव घ्यायचं, यस ते काय वेरी स्टेजवर यायचे आणि खूप थाटामध्ये स्टेजवर बसवते. मिस जोसेफ देन गेव अ शॉर्ट ॲड्रेस. देन मिस जोसेफ गेव अ शॉर्ट ॲड्रेस. नंतर मिस जोसेफनी छोटंसं भाषण दिलं. She said that their lessons had a particular bias towards the brotherhood of mankind. Yes, in his short address, in her short address, Miss Joseph said that their lessons, म्हणजे ते जे काही शिकल्या, had a particular bias towards the brotherhood of mankind, and that they had been learning through each subject how all mankind was interdependent in spite of the geographical location and differences in colors, races and creeds. And she also told that whatever she learned throughout all the subject, that is about the all mankind, and all this mankind was dependent in spite of the geographical location and differences in colors, races and creeds. म्हणजे she told that there were different types of peoples, different types of race, their races, their colors are different, their creeds are different, their geographical location are different, but they are interdependent on each other. तिने सांगितलं की जरी वेगवेगळ्या धर्माचे, जातीचे, धर्माचे, वेगवेगळ्या एरियामध्ये राहणारे, वेगवेगळ्या रंगाचे जरी लोक असले तरी पण संपूर्ण मनुष्य जात काय एकच आहे, and they are dependent on each other. Then she called on Potter went on to speak of the work they had done on weights and measurement. Then Potter speak about the arithmetic. Potter went to speak of the work they had done on weights and measurement. Means Potter is speaking about the weights and measurement of the relationship between the kilograms and the pound, the meter and the foot. He said that throughout the world one or other of those two methods was either in use or understand, and that it was a symbol of the greater understanding which was being accomplished between the peoples. Okay, so in this way Potter speak about the weights and measurements in arithmetic